On my microphone. Roll call, please.
Director Roscoe,
Here, present.
Director Nichols,
Yes.
Director Huffner,
Yes.
Director Buss, and then Director Cussworth.
Yes. So we have a very exciting walking tour that we're going to be starting off of 401 Hillcrest Building and Grounds. And you are all welcome to join us if you would like to. If you are not interested in the walking tour, we will return. And I assume they can just wait here in this room for us.
Yes, and for purposes of anyone watching on TV, it's about 10 or 15 minutes. We're literally walking next door to the new building we just acquired. We're going to walk through an empty old office building and take a look at things, and then we're going to walk back. And we're not going to get into substantive conversation over there, but a couple of questions are fine. But we have a whole presentation on the plans for next door later in the agenda. So.
Okay, so
Show and tell.
With that, Mr. Frito, lead the way. have a special presentation by the Conejo Valley Botanic Garden, one of my favorite places. Monica, you'll be giving our presentation? Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Get myself situated here. My name is Monica Barton. I am the president of the Conejo Valley Botanic Garden. And I'd like to thank the board for inviting me to speak with you tonight. And what I'd like to talk about is some of the improvements and enhancements that we've made to the garden from the last grant that we received from the Conejo Recreation and Park District. You know, I'm always used to saying CRPD because Conejo Recreation and Park District is such a mouthful, but is it okay if I?
You may say CRPD, that's just fine. I give you permission.
Okay. And I am a volunteer there where we're all volunteers. So I'd like to share some of the enhancements. And I'm going to focus on the Kids Adventure Garden where we invested the monies from the last grant. This is the outside of the Kids Adventure Garden. The CRPD grant that we requested was to be used to repair the decomposed granite paths in the Kids Adventure Garden. And for those of you that aren't familiar with our garden, we have the main garden up on the big hill, and this is in the parking lot right behind the softball fields. And this picture on the left was from 2002 when they dropped a mobile home here. Well, somebody paid for it and they put it here. And then one of the Eagle Scout projects in 2002 was to lay down decomposed granite paths, what we call DG. So they were 24 years old, the paths, and we had them repaired in the very end of June. So we went right up to the end of your fiscal year when we needed to complete our grant, and that's when that was done. I took a picture which shows a panoramic view of the whole Kids Adventure Garden. You can see the tree house, which the kids love. This is the first thing they run to when they come into the garden. We're only open Sundays from 11 to 3. You'll notice a couple of the bushes there. There's a bear on your left, the bunny rabbit, which you can't see. It's not really grown into the shape yet. And we have some bird of paradise. We have some hummingbird sage and zebra aloe. So a lot of the plants in here have animal names. This is our plant sale area, which is only open on Sundays. We do have another up in the nursery area of the garden by the service gate. We have a plant sale on Wednesdays, and they propagate for us up there and then bring them down to sell. I say for us because I mostly help out here in the Kids Adventure Garden. We have drought tolerant plants, and right now we have a lot of succulent. The plants that come from the nursery area are brought here, but we also have a lot of donated plants. So the community will call me or email me and I'll ask them for pictures because I learned once you have to ask for pictures, otherwise you're going to end up with plants you don't want. We also have a gift shop where we sell books, jewelry, baskets, vases. They're all affordable. Most of the things are donated. And I just did a quick walkthrough video just to show you these are the new paths. And we have agapantha. I couldn't name all of the plants in here. We also have rosemary. Coming up on our left is what we call well, this is the butterfly bench here. And this area here is called our tea house, and we have little plastic tea sets, and the children that come in play tea party. And we have a pirate's cave here. The man that constructed the treehouse also did the pirate's cave. There's a couple of dinosaurs there beyond the pond. We have mosquito fish in the pond. This path right here leads down to the creek where there's a footbridge and that leads onto the nature trail. The mobile home, like I said, was donated. We hold our board meetings inside. Also on Saturdays, we have birthday parties. This is a beehive. The kids can get in there and play house. And on the patio here, on Saturdays for a 2-hour or 3-hour period, they can rent it and hold children's birthday parties here. Over here to the right, as I walk by, there used to be an aviary there, but it's recently been removed. The birds are in a happier place right now. I'm with someone else at someone else's house. This is our donor kiosk. This is up in the main garden, about halfway up. It's across from the nursery. And the reason I'm putting this here is because if you look on the top, the grand patrons having donated over $50,000, Conejo Recreation and Park District is there. And that's what we've received from you over the years. And we're very grateful for that. And we have other donors that, of course, all donations are appreciated, but we start out on the board at $500 and go up to over $50,000. We are a nonprofit 501c3. So, and all of nobody's paid at our garden, and we have about 70 volunteers now. At the bottom of this, you'll see these bricks. You really can't see close up, but they are engraved bricks. So if somebody wanted to, they would pay a donation and they can put a family member's name on it or anything they want. A lot of the volunteers have their names on those bricks. One of the events, our main event of the year, is the Matilla Hop Poppy Festival every May. And we choose May because that's when they're in bloom. They call it the fried egg flower. It blooms April, May, and June, and then it's gone. But it's very beautiful. It's a free event. We have, every year we have couple master gardener speakers come and speak on different topics. We have docent-led tours. And, okay, I'm noticing here, some of you might know John Noble. He was one of our tour leaders this year, and also our treasurer, Jim Allen, is pictured in that picture. We have kids' activities where they make Matilla Hop Poppies out of coffee filters with a little yellow center, and they like to, put it in their hair or take it home. They have color pictures. And something new that we have this year are the field trips for the 2nd and 3rd graders. And it takes place inside the Kids Adventure Garden. We used to have them up in the main garden. And what would happen is the kids would go up there and they'd all run for the benches like they were tired. So came up with this idea where they stayed in the Kids Adventure Garden with 4 stations and a docent at each station. And then they rotate for a half hour at each station. And the schools, we started last year, and the schools really seem to like it. We're hoping that we can expand it, and this year have a lot more schools, mostly from Conejo Valley Unified School District, but anyone is welcome. And I wanted to mention about the volunteer contributions. We have 3 different work days, Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and they all do something different. we're always in need of more volunteers, and it's very easy to apply online. It's usually a 2-hour shift once a week. And each shift has, each day has a lead person that's assigning tasks. Some people work more than 2 hours a week, but that's what we're set up for right now. And I also mentioned, I also wanted to mention the grant prior to the decomposed granite. Part of that we used for this new drinking fountain in our service area. And for the cobbles, we bought pallets of cobbles, which are these rocks that line the paths, because this is the entrance to the Trail of Trees, because the paths weren't defined anymore. They were full of weeds, so we weeded them, we laid the cobbles, and it makes the garden look so much better. People can find their way through the Trail of Trees. And all of our plants, most of them are labeled. And people can donate or dedicate a tree and have their name on it or their family's name, only in the Trail of Trees. So all of the volunteers at the Conejo Valley Botanic Garden are so grateful to the CRPD for the grants that you've provided for us. Thank you for having me. Are there any questions?
Yes, thank you, Monica. So this is Monica Estelle. I didn't properly introduce her. She is the president of the Botanic Garden. So she kind of took over when Beverly wasn't able to do it anymore, and she's done a fantastic job. So works hard. She's a very hard worker.
Thank you. And for those of you, I did send emails to some of the CRPD, but I didn't know everyone, inviting you to an event we're having on Tuesday at 10 a.m. in the Kids Adventure Garden to honor Beverly. We have a plaque that's been installed in the Trail of Trees honoring her. She volunteered there almost 25 years, and she's 93 now, so she only retired last year. And she will be there with her entire family, and we'll have light refreshments, so we hope you come.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments? Anyone? Mr. Nickel?
Yeah, thank you for this. This was like our second tour of the night, so we're feeling kind of tired here, but that was great. Thank you for the video. That was very nice. You know, I get a lot of questions about, you know, who operates this botanic garden? Is that the park district? Is it not? And I try to explain to them, you know, the relationship. And it really leads into a good conversation about the partnerships that we have. And then of course, I use that to talk about the multiple partnerships that we have. But, you know, this has been a long-term relationship. And I think there's a lot of people who really appreciate it, especially, you know, people that go to the park not knowing what they're walking into, and they just kind of start walking and they realize how nice it is. So I just wanted to, you know, express my appreciation for the many hours of volunteers they combined over the multiple years, and just how it benefits the park as well as the community. And obviously, you know, you folks enjoy it or you wouldn't keep doing it. But thank you for providing that to our community. And it's not only just a resource, it's an educational activity for the young kids, but also for us older kids too. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Can I mention something? I didn't mention
Of course.
this. The park is on the land of CRPD, and 50 plus years ago, it was sitting vacant, and I heard that they were using it, people were using it kind of as a dumping ground. 3 guys came in and said, we want to turn this into a garden, and started working. And it's always been volunteers. And the CRPD has graciously leased it to us for these 50 years. Can I tell them how much? Or should I not?
Add it all up.
Okay, well, for $1 a year. So we're grateful. But there was one stipulation, only if we do not charge admission, and we don't charge admission. Of course, we have Iron Rangers if you want to leave a donation, but it's free. It's always free.
Thank you. Yes. Director Orozco.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I remember, I think I I want to say either like the 5th or 6th grade when my class took a field trip. I went to school in elementary school in Ventura and we took a field trip to the Botanic Gardens. And as a class, we walked around and we had our little sketchbooks and we were drawing all of the different plants that we could find and identify. And so it's been so wonderful to see that progression. And even in your presentation, the video is such a nice walkthrough because it's been a minute since I've been back there. So to see all of the lovely work that's gone into the garden is just I'm really grateful. So thank you so much to you and your volunteers for all the amazing work that you guys continue to do because it really is such a gem to have in the community.
Thank you.
Director Huffer?
I just want to add my thanks for your presentation. I loved the walking tour through the children's garden there. I have to admit, I have not been in that garden. Because my grandkids live far away, they don't get here very often. I probably don't need to wait for my grandkids to go through it. But one time I was almost got there a couple of years ago when two grandkids were visiting, and unfortunately there had been a lot of rain and the garden closed because of the weather. But as I said, I probably don't need to wait for kids to tour the garden. But the overall botanic garden, to see how it's grown over the years. When my children were elementary school age, they were involved in a youth club, and one of their projects was to go up the hill and they planted a tree. And I can't remember what kind of tree it was, but they planted a tree and they put a little plaque by the tree. I guess the plaque has long since disappeared. I think I know which tree it was because I get up there occasionally. But how the garden has grown over the 40 plus years is pretty incredible. And what you and all the volunteers do to make that possible, to add to the garden, keep it nicely groomed, and adding plants along the way. It's a great example of volunteerism here in Thousand Oaks. So thanks to you and all of your volunteers for making this possible and keeping it free. And there are a lot of botanic gardens around Southern California, but there are relatively few of them that are free like this. So it's really special. So thank you.
And of course, I'm very appreciative of all you do, Monica. And I too have seen huge growth in the Botanic Garden. I love it. It's a wonderful place to be. It's just, I guess I'll say it again, it's just a wonderful place to be. Just go through and walk the Botanic Garden, it'll make your day. And it's one of the best places for sunsets in the Conejo Valley. Walk up to the top and you get a gorgeous sunset, and it's okay for sunrises too. So thank you to everybody that works there, and thank you so much for this presentation. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on in our agenda. So we have 2 items from the public, 2 cards. George Lang, and we have some people online also. Okay, so we'll start with George Lang.
Good evening, Honorable Chair Cutsworth, Director Huffer, Nicholson, Roscoe. It's my pleasure, as always, to be here before you. I'm going to stray from in my mind, presentation based on the botanical garden. Monica mentioned 3 gentlemen, and I'm pretty sure one of those gentlemen was Councilmember Raymond Garcia. That should ring a bell if you're looking in the old minutes. It was Councilmember Garcia's idea to create along with others, the Botanic Garden. And so, and then I was going to say, Director Huffer, the fact that your grandchildren weren't here, that's a lame excuse for not visiting. But anyway, it's always a pleasure to be here with the Conejo Recreation and Park District. But I'm here today, as you know, to provide report to the board of the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority. As you know, I'm your representative on the MRCA and also the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. And it's just a great opportunity to share with you. And many people might not know the relationship of the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority to the CRPD, but it's so intertwined that the Conejo Recreation and Park District is able to continue its support of not only the MRCA, but also involvement and support of different projects with the Conejo Recreation and Park District, including Fireworks Hill. As you know, MRCA played a role in acquiring that. As far as the MRCA, we had a meeting that's, in fact, we're having another meeting coming up next week, but we had a meeting of the MRCA on, this is wrong, on July 7th. July 7th was the opportunity for our rangers, our fire department and so forth to get volunteers to patrol our properties. And as you know, we have close to 90,000 acres here in Southern California. And so on the 4th of July, we had a group of close to 80 firemen and rangers patrolling our property, including Mulholland Drive. And some of you may have seen the video of the chief ranger giving a tour to Channel 5 reporter and a ride along on Mulholland and so forth. And just to give you an example of the many aspects of the MRCA Rangers and Fire Department and Fire Division and so forth, is just very, very unique. And we have such a great relationship between Ventura County, LA County, LA City. It goes on and on with our divisions. So we're well respected and appreciated as far as our Southern California firefighting team and so forth. So, and this Friday, tomorrow, the MRCA is going to have a soft opening of Temescal Canyon. And some of you might know Temescal Canyon is in Pacific Palisades. And with the fires that went through there last year, we experienced a lot of damage. And the majority of the damage has been repaired and so forth. And we're now at a point where we can invite certain people to come and, well, it's open to the public, but the whole park, Temescal Gateway Park, is not open to the public because it's not totally refurbished yet. But considering what the Temescal Canyon Gateway Park went through with the fires, it's phenomenal that we're already back online and able to open it up. And the press will be there tomorrow, so you might be able to see something on television or something about those who may have attended the opening tomorrow. But anyway, I just wanted to give you a quick summary of how responsive and quick the MRCA and the Conservancy were in bringing the Temescal Canyon Gateway Park back online. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lang. Kevin Mitchell?
Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
I'd like to first off congratulate all of you for your acquisition of this building. And this property. I mean, this building is an example of how a building should be built in this community. It blends in with the environment. To me, it's the most remarkable building in the Conejo Valley. It's really something. First off, as I was getting ready to come over here to speak, I'm going to digress a little bit. I'm speaking tonight about the Conejo Creek Equestrian Park is why I came to talk about, and the proposed pickleball. But I'm going to start out with have a little drawing and a note from my granddaughter Ruby, who grabbed my hand knowing I was coming over here tonight, and she said, "Gimpy," that's what she calls me. "Gimpy, can you read this for me?" So I'm going to read off her little letter that she wrote. Said, "Dear government, I love pickleball and all, but I like horses more. Please don't make horses go crazy by all the loud and noises. Didn't you know horses have feelings? Over 1 million horse lovers want you to not build pickleball courts. Sincerely, your little 8-year-old Ruby." I came through for Ruby. I want to also tell you congratulations on a great 250 celebration. Fireworks were amazing. Got to watch that. Loved it. Great job. As we celebrate the 250th anniversary of the American independence, I'd also like to draw attention to the importance, the role of horses and mules played in developing this country. Horses were first introduced into the United States by Spain back in 1500s, starting out in Florida. By about mid 1500s, De Soto of Spain brought horses into the southeast and southwest, and they migrated into other parts of the United States. And about by the 1600, native tribes found out, hey, we use these guys, we can get around this country a lot further. We can carry our things, and we can also fight our neighbors for more territory or escape. Horses were involved in just about every war involved in this building of this nation. We had, during the Revolutionary War and Western expansion, we had probably 5,000 to 10,000 mules and horses that were killed. During the Mexican-American War, these majestic animals, we had 5,000 to 10,000 mules, horses killed. Civil War, 1 million horses and mules killed.
Mr. Mitchell, we do have a 3-minute limit. Could you wind up your comments, please?
I'll wrap it up.
Thank you so much.
World War I, 8 million mules and horses killed, and U.S. provided many of them. The point I'm making is that during history, you hear all about how horses were played a part in a role in the founding of this nation. I didn't read anything that had pickleball in it. And we're talking about a site that was dedicated back in 1972 as a equestrian park. I'd like to see it dedicated as that. And like the botanical garden that started 50 years ago, and it's kept its residency there without a pickleball court, I think we'd like to do the same for the equestrian park. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Kevin Michaels?
Hello, good evening. I'm here to talk about the horse park and the plan that was proposed. I recently moved in the neighborhood 1.5 years ago. There's a bidding war on the house. 2 other horse properties on the street sold the first time in 25 years, bidding wars on those houses. People dumped enormous amounts of money into remodels on those houses. The horse park is the main draw for the horse community. See, you guys put out a plan that now directly affects our property value for the whole entire neighborhood, maybe all of Thousand Oaks. That plan was irresponsible. It didn't address any of the issues. None of the stakeholders wanted it, but it's directly affecting property value, and you guys haven't released anything in months. There needs to be an update to that plan as soon as possible. It's holding up sales of horse properties. Nobody would ever buy into a horse community with that plan in place. So you guys need to address that ill-advised plan, you put it out there to the world, it's in the world, and it's affecting our property values. And it's a negative impact on Thousand Oaks as a community for what we're about. I moved here specifically because of the horse community. I left another community that was horse driven, moved here because this was an amazing thing. Ventura County, the fact that Thousand Oaks had an arena that was public. My daughters can ride there, they can train there. There's so much going on there. Last week, there was 30 sheriffs there training to be in the equestrian thing for the sheriffs. There's equestrian therapy going on there every day of the week with special need kids. The park is a beautiful thing. What you guys should really be doing is figuring out how to make this a world-class equestrian center, adding some nice vegetation, adding some better rings, just enhancing what's there. And it would be known around the entire country as what a community could do with a public ring. People haven't thought that out well. There's only a few spots around the whole country that have really amazing public places like this. You guys have it. People are moving into your neighborhood and spending a lot of money to be here, to have this community. And you guys are responsible for releasing something to the community. This plan obviously isn't what's going to happen, right? You guys know that. It's time to actually put something out and saying, hey, this is maybe a new idea, but this idea that's floating over our head, that's just a complete crusher to our real estate value, as well as the morale of the horse community as a whole, you guys need to address it. It's been months. I was here 4 months ago. I've been in the hospital with a broken back and hip. I haven't been able to come. I would have been here at every meeting. I'm now able to walk. I'm back here trying to tell you guys need to make a change to this plan. It was ill-advised. Nobody wanted it. The garden doesn't want it. The horse people don't want it. Some pickleball guys got under your guys' skin, and you put that out to the community, and now it's affecting our lives. It needs to be changed. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much. Diana Merville?
Hi, I'm Diana Merville, and thank you guys for listening to us. I'm here to talk about the horse park, and our community has really started coming together with all the other shareholders in the park. In fact, this week at our horse park meeting, we were joined by garden club representatives, and we've been engaging dog park representatives. And so we're all really coming together really to preserve the nature of the horse park and Conejo Creek West as a unity, because it is a facility that's meant to practice serenity, quiet, peace, nature, and all of that. So we're really excited to say that all the groups are coming together. And as some other people have said before us, none of the stakeholders that are in the park currently want to have the pickleball there. So the garden club doesn't want it. The dog people don't want it. For the dogs, we were told by dog trainers that pickleball will cause erratic sounds that will make the dogs agitated, and it will lead to more dog fights and possibly handlers, owners separating dogs getting bitten, that there could be a huge incompatibility between the pickleball and dogs because of how dogs react. So whereas horses react in fear by flight and running away, dogs react with aggression and increased tension when they start. Okay. And that was kind of a brainstorm, just something for you guys to think about. But we know with the downtown development project that if that goes through, they're going to be removing 50 some protected trees. Now, we at the horse park have a wish list. We would love to have more trees for shade. And we're wondering if you guys can maybe collab with the city, if there's a way for any of those trees that are being extracted from there, mature oak trees, and there are other protected varieties of trees, if they could be transplanted to the horse park. We would love to have them. It could be kind of a sanctuary for the oak trees and the others. We do know that some of the trees that have been assessed there there's 10 of them that are oaks, I think, that might be assessed as disease, but others are not. And so it might be kind of a feather in everybody's cap if CRPD were willing and the city were willing and the developer were willing to maybe transplant some of those mature trees to the horse park. Win-win for everybody. The trees live, we get shade, And I'm told that there might be ways to temporarily water them until they can grasp root and be mature at our park. But anyways, I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility, something to think about, something that could be a win-win for everybody if those trees can move to our park. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And online, we have some people who want to talk. No?
Yes, good morning. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't have any audio coming from my end.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay.
Hi, oh,
Okay,
can you
then.
hear me?
All right, moving on.
Can you hear me?
So no one online.
Yes, I'm here. Hello? Hello? Can you
Oh,
hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
okay.
Hello?
Just for the record, from you two doing technology, we do believe our audio is working though. Like we have the ability to receive it. We're just not getting a signal.
Getting any signal on my end, so it's not coming through the sound.
Okay.
Hello?
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Good evening, board members. My name's Lisa Bach. I'm with the California State Horsemen's Association, and I had the pleasure of talking to Director Nichols at the June ETI Corral 37 Gymkhana event held at the Conejo Creek Equestrian Center, and we discussed the proposed pickleball courts. He mentioned to me that the data does not support locating the pickleball courts in another location due to the increase in demand. So I started researching the data on my own, and here's what I found out. At the Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026 Thousand Oaks City Council public hearing for the Downtown City Development Project, Deputy City Manager Akar Alikhan, I think is how you say his name, reported that the new apartment housing for the 1,000 residents was needed since 11,000 residents have left the Thousand Oaks area and moved away. Director Ashley Orozco was also present and heard Akar's comments since he was there to also speak and support the project. Next, I continued my research through a California Public Records request response, and I have sent the 3 files that were forwarded to me to the CRDB city clerk system, or your clerk, that Andrew Mooney, who is your Director of Parks and Planning, provided to me in an Excel format. So from January 1st, 2023 to June 29th, 2026, there has been a strong decline, especially in 2026, of pickleball classes that have caused multiple location classes that have been canceled. Further, the total revenue to CRDP generated from pickleball from January 1, 2023 to June 29th, 2026 at $4 a reservation has been a total of $1,070. Now, doing a Google AI search of pickleball courts near Conejo Creek, there are 9 dedicated indoor courts and over 20 public outdoor courts within a 15-minute drive of the one and only Conejo Creek Equestrian Center. The most amazing thing is that the fancy Pickleball Athletic Club Pack, which has over 31 courts and according to their website is a great place to socialize, could hold a tournament well excess of 10 courts. So in response to Director Nichols' data comment, the real data does not support giving away precious Conejo Creek Equestrian Center open recreational space land to the declining pickleball population. Equestrians choose a lifestyle and selected to live in zip codes surrounding the equestrian park. The sport of pickleball is a hobby. It is now fading just like racquetball in the 1980s. Please reconsider your decision to take away the equestrian land for pickleball. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm glad that we were able to get the audio situation taken care of. Is there anybody else online? No? We're done. Okay. So moving on, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved?
Okay, thank you, Director Nichols. A second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Consent calendar, A and B. Do I have a motion to approve our consent calendar? Thank
I'd
you.
like to move approval of consent calendar items A and B.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Motion passes. I do not see that we have any deferred matters. We do have an item for discussion, which is the potential uses of the newly acquired 401 West Hillcrest building. Do we have? And I heard we have a presentation. Is this Mrs. Callis? Okay,
It's going
thank
to
you.
be me, but Jim wants to say
Oh,
something.
I'm just going to introduce it, but both Rochelle and Andrew are going to participate as well, and we might even get something out of Melissa. We'll see. But this is just by way of introduction. We already had our tour. For those walking or watching online, we did have a tour of 401 Hillcrest Building. We're here tonight to primarily focus on the building itself and not this building, not the 61-acre entire property, but just talk a little bit about what we're thinking with 401 West Hillcrest. Like, as you know, Rec operates 8 community centers plus the CLU pool. They're very familiar with public buildings and public gathering spaces and how they're used. And they've looked at, what we currently offer, what are, the spaces currently being used for in all of our centers. And then thought with this new acquisition of the 20,000 acres next door, what might, make the most sense. And so there's been a process, and Rochelle's going to kind of go through all that. But again, it's, kind of a little bit celebratory for us in terms of being in this position. As a reminder, we were going to lose our lease here. It was expiring per its terms. We were here 25 years, and that date was coming up. The city provided us an opportunity to purchase the property. We did so for $30.4 million. We were able to come up with $15 million in cash and grants, and we're financing about 15. So we now have a home, and we have some ideas on how the new 20,000 square foot next door would work into the whole system of all the facilities that we have. So with that, I think I'm going to turn over to Rochelle to kind of go through what Rec went through. What do we do with this building?
Sure, absolutely. So to start with, in January, we got really excited about the possibility of owning the property and having a new space for more recreational services to serve our community in different and or new or expanded ways. So since January, we have been brainstorming and meeting and doing different walkthroughs and visits to other things around the community to see what our needs were, what the needs of the community might be. So this is what we have come up with. So, oops, didn't go. There we go. So on the right side, we are recreation, so we do lots with color pencils and stuff. So we had a map of the building next door, and what we did is we gave it to every full-time person in recreation. And we said, what would be your dream? What would you do in this building? You can take down walls, you can add walls, you can do whatever you want. And then on the left side of the paper was actually like every single current like space that's in there. And they could group them together, and they could write all the different things that they wanted to or envisioned could or might happen in the building. One person was so incredibly creative in this section that we are calling the community space, the community room, was an indoor pool. So, which would be very popular, mind you. I just don't know how the dirt would do there. So, but anyhow, we did this with every full-time person. They could work in groups, they could do individually. So it was really fun. They all turned it in. what my management team, and when I say my management team, that's James, Melissa, and Tim, and I, and Tristan would have sit in on some of those meetings and help us participate in some things also. But we sat down and we gleaned from everybody like information and unlike information. And then we ended up, we had several meetings, but we ended up, let's see if I can do this, coming up with poster boards, and we had a division meeting in the building. We had, just like you had some little poster boards in there, every single room had a poster board in it with every idea that every staff person had come up with. We broke them up into groups of 4. We gave them stars because we love stickers in recreation, and gave them stars. And then we had them only 15 minutes in each room. They got to read what everybody said about what they thought could happen in that room. They were able to put stickers on their top ideas, what they thought was good or not good. And then they had a pen that they could add in extra things if the group came up with additional ideas. After that meeting, we took all of those ideas, and my management team, we kind of came out with what was kind of screaming out. We talked about strategic planning, which ideas would serve the community better for the long term, which areas do we have a need for. We narrowed it down to 2 of my units that we wanted to have more discussion with. So we met with sports and we met with therapeutic recreation. We talked to Conejo, we talked to TOC, we thought about moving all sorts of people all over the place, but these 2 kind of stood out to us as potential opportunities to serve the community more, and we wanted to talk to them. So we had discussions with both of those units, and after that, we took those ideas, what the pros, what the cons, what the challenges would be, and we discussed that as a management team again some more. And so then we also, in between all of this, we're looking at, so this whole time we're only looking at the therapeutic area when we walked through the building, so the far side to the driveway. So our management team also at that time was talking about the middle portion of the building and the other side of the building, so the community room and potential event center room. So we did more research on those things. So we did a field trip, and we invited Andrew and Jim also came with us to these field trips, and we went to Agora and we met with their staff there. We toured their facility. We talked about what worked, what didn't work, what their challenges were, how often they're rented, how many staff do they have. They shared their budget with me. Then we went over to Calabasas, and their staff did the same thing with us there. We toured it, what went well, what didn't, all of that good stuff. They also shared their budgeting with me. We learned some things, like Agora actually is able to make enough revenue off of the event center alone that they are able to cover like the utility costs of the building and the staff to run the event center. So, the other thing we did is we invited the staff at Agora to come here and see this new facility here and have them tell us what they thought of it. Work, not work, problems, issues, what we have to have, don't have, might not need. And did they think that if we made it an event center, that we had the potential to make some revenue on it? So we management team continued our conversations. We started to finalize some things, finalize some ideas, say, okay, our goal was to be able to come up with, this is the direction that we want to recommend that we would go into. So we ended with therapeutics is growing. We do more and more with the regional center. Old Meadows is a wonderful location with a beautiful yard and playground, but the indoor facilities is not that big, doesn't allow us to grow that much. So, and we're also adding some inclusion specialist staff, hopefully in the very near future. So we see our services for inclusion and programming also to be increasing. So we think that when you talk about our forever home, that that's something that is going to be always. We will always be doing inclusion. We will always probably be doing therapeutic recreation. So the extra and additional space would be that. We thought the event center, if we can make an event center that is high quality, so maybe somewhere between Agora Hills and Calabasas, that we could rent it. They are both rented pretty much every weekend. And that it could potentially also offset the costs of like utilities and staffing specifically for the event center. And then the community room would be the event center, both, well, Agora says they don't do anything but rentals in their event center. Calabasas kind of does rentals and programming and stuff like that. So, but Agora is definitely a little higher end. So we were thinking our event center could be kind of that same thing where it's mostly rentals and stays really nice. And then the community room would be more like Calabasas, where we could do classes in it and maybe not as high end events and stuff like that. So that was kind of where we were going with the 3 areas. I'm hoping I'm not forgetting anything. So the other thing we did with looking at the event center is trying to look at our existing local venues to really see again, do we need something like this? Would this be rented often? So we looked at Thousand Oaks. We looked at indoor facilities because this is only going to be an indoor facility. This facility, Andrew believes that we could seat about 200, maybe 250, maybe even more than that, depending on how many walls are removed and all of that good stuff. And so these are the 3 locations that you can do 200 or above indoors. And so the other thing that we learned when we did our visits was that having the ability for outside catering is super important to people in the community. So Agora and Calabasas, that's all, it's any caterer that can come in and do it, to where if you go to a hotel, a lot of times you have to do the food from the hotel and it's not as accommodating for folks. So that was an important thing. So we threw that in there just so you can see that. So we would be considered an available event space that could seat 200 or more, and you could bring whatever caterer in you want. That's not here. So then we said, well, let's expand it a little bit and go to our nearby locations. So you get a few more, but you definitely see like the really high end with the Four Seasons and the country clubs. And then you've got Calabasas and Agora. So, and they are the only ones that have the outside catering, which we would have. And they're rented all the time. So we thought that that was a venue or a way to look at it. So with that, our current proposal from Recreation would be to continue to look down this path, which would be therapeutics taking the purple section. Therapeutics going there would open up Old Meadows. There are some programs that we would move around that would use the space at Old Meadows. Therapeutics would also still use the outside space for like summer camps and stuff like that, because we currently don't have that here. Even if that gets built, it might be a while before we have a full park or anything. The middle section would be the event center, hopefully medium high to high end type of a thing. The other thing with the event center that was really important when we were looking at was having doors or windows that open up to an outside area. Both Calabasas and Agora have that. So there would be, the opportunity to have those windows that look over towards the mountains, Boney Mountain. I won't say them all, but the Boney Mountain, have like sliding windows. Andrew has some great ideas, and then a patio out there so that they could have indoor outdoor space. And then with the multi-purpose room in the pink, having that again, almost like a health and wellness area, classes, larger classes, instead of having maybe yoga all over the community. There might be a yoga that's in one location or more central, but we would have more play to do programming in there. So when we did this, the management team, and then the other slide will be the therapeutics team, we sat down and we've talked about what is it that are the musts in these specific areas in order for us to make them work as soon as possible or whatever. So if we were to do multi-purpose room and event center, we would need grand entrance, an office, lounge area, our restrooms. We'd have to do, Andrew's done a lot of, we've had a couple more meetings with Andrew, and the bathrooms need to be like switched around or expanded, or that type of thing, so that we can accommodate 250 people in there with multiple things going on at the same time. We need a warming kitchen. It was great when we met with Agora in Calabasas. We got to actually see what a warming kitchen is and the difference, and how that is different with the health department. We currently, with the health department right now, have the teen center and the global center that have full kitchens, but we don't need that. We just need a warming kitchen. And we would be able to do programming and classes potentially in there also. We would need lots of electrical outlets. We would need soundproofing so that different spaces aren't hearing other spaces. And then we would love a deck around like the whole back side and the corner, just to like a wraparound deck, because it would really give that kind of inside outside feel for events. That would be really nice. And then with therapeutics, we met with Devin and Corinne and said, okay, what are the must needs? What do you have to have in here in order to like move in? And so making sure that there's accessibility into the building and out of the building, some kind of little green space area or shade where they could be outside a little bit. Most of the stuff that they do, a lot of their stuff is with teens and adults. A lot of their probably elementary like programming, if it's like where it's a camp and you need outdoor space, they would probably still do that like in the summer at Old Meadows. But this is a really great space for them to get, close to the mall and close to the freeway for all their outings that they do and stuff like that. When they would have a little warming kitchen also, not as big as the like warming kitchen for the caterers and the bigger class, but like a little like place to cook and stuff. Sinks, restrooms, make sure the restrooms are big enough for wheelchair accessibility and stuff like that. Andrew had some great ideas with the restrooms. Making sure they have couple of classrooms, lobby, office for staff, which the bottom half of that picture would probably potentially be like the offices and stuff for staff, and then the top portion of it would be more the classrooms and the activity areas and stuff like that. Conferences, meeting rooms, and they would be able to serve all ages there. And I think now we go to Andrew. You got it.
Thanks, Rochelle. So just to remind the board, as part of our budget process and your approval last month, we did take to the board 1.6 million. That budget is separate from what I'm going to kind of lead you guys through the next couple slides of the presentation. But to remind you, HVAC system in both buildings, 401, 403, needs to be kind of replaced, gutted. The heart and brain of the system that's 20 plus years old needs to get replaced. My staff put out an RFP. We're in conversations with an HVAC company. Actually, it was a company that has been working on this building for the past 3 years with the city, so they're very familiar with the system. We're looking to do design plans with them, take a look at permits and things like that, and then bring back the construction contract to the board. Hopefully in September is the goal. And that's a big cost. As part of it, we originally budgeted about $750,000 for that section, as well as some cleanup in the building itself. And then we also had, hardscape improvements and some general circulation improvements, like the stairs and things like that through the parking lots as part of this. as well as landscaping. So there's some work that needs to be done on the trees to keep up their health, as well as kind of cleaning up some of the landscaping, some of the irrigation and stuff like that. So I really just wanted to make that clear. That 1.6 million is any of these costs that I bring up is on top of that 1.6 million. So just to be clear there. And then as Jim mentioned, kind of the discussion tonight is really just 401 Hillcrest interior, right? So that's really what our discussion is concentrated on. We got a lot of dreams. We're going to be talking to the community once we kind of start molding the whole property. But right now, Rochelle's team has done tons of work putting together some programming ideas and a vision of how they can support the community with the programs and events and all that stuff. But then the goal is that now I'm following on the backside of that to say, hey, how can we help support, just like we do at all of our other facilities? How can we support rec to do what they do great for the community, right? So future discussions of 403 and then the kind of the overall property improvements that are totally to be determined, such as even 403 Hillcrest improvements, right? We're pretty happy with what's here. HVAC's going to be a big thing, especially days like this, right? It's a little bit different walking from 401 on the tour to 403 now with AC, additional trails on the property, possible fireworks hill development, and then other park development, because there is quite a bit of acreage that we could utilize, especially for the existing neighbors that are in the neighborhood, as well as future residents that move in with the development of all the multifamily housing that's happening in this part of town. So just being overly clear, the goal is 401 interior improvements and adjacent, connection improvements to the building. So with that, and that's kind of a bummer because I can't read that, so I got to print it out. But so the multi-purpose room starting on the north side of the building in magenta, I've been working with a local architect that we're comfortable with to get a kind of scope of work range from a cost standpoint, because 21,000 square foot building, you can easily spend in the millions to possibly $10 million if you're really dialing it in, replacing windows, new floors, new plumbing, new restrooms, kitchen, all that type of stuff. So what we wanted to do is, with the program that Rochelle's team put together, we wanted to talk with the architect on a low end to really kind of bring up the level of the building and make it a commercial grade gathering space and classroom space and therapeutic space, where we have a low end range. So for the multi-purpose room, we're looking at where there would be obviously possible reconfiguration with some walls, improving the flooring to a degree, as well as new paint and new access and things like that. And the low end for just the multi-purpose room is about $280,000 is the estimate that we worked from. And then on the high end, it was just over 1.2. So 1.2, $600,000 for on the high end of finish. So that would be really trying to give them everything they want, really get in there, strip it down, get the flooring to where it would be longer term flooring decisions, possibly more electrical, more program ability to do whatever they're going to do in there. So that's what we're looking at for the multi-purpose room. And I'm going to kind of go through each one of the sections just so we can kind of talk about it. From a square footage standpoint, this is very conceptual. It really looks like it's nearly 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Based on further review on their ideas, what we're thinking is the multi-purpose area would be about 7,000 square feet. The event space would be about 9,000 square feet, and they do have shared restrooms. They might have some shared kitchen space as well, depending on how we make it function, and lobby space, lobby and lounge, kind of as you come into the gallery area. And then the therapeutic area would be anywhere from 5,000 to 6,000 square feet. So that's kind of how we've kind of laid it out, and then also based on the cost assumptions. So to the event center, the rental space, what we're looking at similar would be minimal kind of upgrades, but still substantial. It's about $360,000 is what our estimate working with the architect would be on the low end. And on the high end, it would be about $1.62 million. So, and that would be like Rochelle's saying, taking a look at some of our neighboring agencies and what they've been doing. It would be on a higher end, higher scale, whether it's the flooring, whether it's audio-visual, whether it's opening up some of the walls, the exterior walls for like sliding doors and things like that, that would be associated with the cost to that level. And so moving on to the therapeutic in the purple section, that would be the smallest area, and on the low end, it would be about 20,000 square feet, or sorry, $200,000 with 5,000 square feet, sorry. And on the high end, it would be about $900,000. And in our experience, like working at the Teen Center and the Global Center, where we actually, we were the project managers, it's a city-owned building, and it was a city-funded project with the help of some state funds and our funds. A lot of the work probably in the therapeutic area would be like improvements to the classrooms for the kitchens. And then some of the life skill stuff like laundry is on their list to be able to, so they can do life skills, but then also the restrooms. So being able, right now, that section of the building only has 2 handicap restrooms, 2 ADA restrooms. And so what we would want to do is expand that. So if they're doing full programming, be able to, whether we have a staff designated restroom, but then also additional ADA restrooms. And with that, bigger footprint, costs associated, additional plumbing and all that. So that's kind of where we're at with the metric of where is our range. The goal really tonight is to get the temperature of the board of where, from like a budget standpoint, you would like to steer us so we can start further talking to an architect, working through most likely an RFP process, and be able to provide them this, and then schematics, and then be able to put some drawings together for like a public bid. Just because of the scale, 21,000 square feet, and if we're redoing a lot of it, then the price comes up. Then we got to go through our bidding processes and public process from our purchasing policy. But just from like an overview, like bigger picture, these colors are they're not good for me, so I'm assuming they're not good for you guys. But total scope of work range, the low end would be about $840,000, and this is for all 3 sections combined. And then on the high end range, it'd be about $3,780,000. So just to kind of give you an overview of the whole picture. And then also, like Rochelle and I have talked about, well, TR is doing stuff at Old Meadows. It's going to be possibly some transition as they move over here if this becomes their headquarters. So we could concentrate on either the TR section first, or concentrate on the event center section first, or the multi-purpose room. Construction is not fun, especially when you're living in it, right? So if there is uses that can happen while construction, we'll try to make that work. But if we wanted to kind of address the building as a whole without occupants, that's obviously a little bit more efficient and a little bit less frustrating, possibly for staff as well as the public and things like that. So, but we're open for conversation with the board if, hey, we want to concentrate on one or all 3 of these at one time, and then maybe one is a lower end range because we can get by with able to program it without doing all the bells and whistles and redoing it and repurposing the entire rooms. But then there's definitely some love that needs to be put into the building. So, because there hasn't been any major renovations for 20 plus years on the interior. So, but that is where I'm at from, and I'll leave that up there, or I can pull back the map if that helps you guys, the plan. And then we can kind of have a little bit more conversation about that. And then obviously Rochelle, myself, Jim, Melissa are all available for questions.
Before I open it for questions, I'm wondering, Mrs. Smith, do you want to, because as we're going through this, I was glad to get those final figures, but what can we afford? Where are we on this?
Sure. So, for this, I'm recommending that we use our capital fund for this. It's a new facility for the district. We currently have about 6 million in that fund that is available after the 1.6 that we already allocated last month for the HVAC and all the other things that Andrew showed up there. We have 4.4. So even if you went high end with those 3 estimates, you could use the entire fund for that. Now that does mean that that fund is pretty much drained. We'd be left with a little over $500,000 after that, so it wouldn't be available for other things that might come up. But that's do you want to
invest in this and know that you're not going to have that opportunity to take advantage of things that might come up in the meantime.
And I just might add, you have approved a 2-year budget, which includes CIP, the 1.6 million here and projects around the district. But I do want to say, we do tap into the capital projects to take on other improvements throughout the year or plan for 4 years from now, that kind of thing. So that's why we want to just get the temperature of the board. You want to like put a bunch of eggs in this basket and really make it nice from day one? Do we want to kind of squeeze in on a budget and just kind of try to make it work and see what we can do over time? Staff just kind of wants to get your thoughts because we can argue it all over the place. Like we can make a good case for all of it. And I think what we want to get a sense is your ideas and thoughts. And then what we would eventually do is come back with a report similar to this, but with an actual staff recommendation. Like, hey, we heard you, we got some better numbers. This is the levels we want. You can think of it as levels at each section if you want, or all high end, all low end, whatever. So have at it.
Okay, I'm sure we have a lot of questions and comments. So,
I just have a point of order question first.
Okay,
And then I'll defer to.
please.
Typically, does the board get involved with how facilities are used and where programming takes place? I think the answer is no, but please clarify if not. And so if you could just clarify that. And then secondly, is the reason this is before is because of the money that it costs to actually do it, more so than just, hey, what do you like in what areas?
Yes, I would say you're right. Traditionally, the board has been very, it's a great board because the professional rec staff, you allow them the latitude to move things around as they're doing their work. Because a lot of times, based on program, the program booklet and what people actually sign up for in different buildings and stuff, we need to move quicker than like typical government decision making would be. So like we have the ability to move programming around town based on need. We haven't had the benefit of having to figure out what to do with some extra indoor space in a long time, but we have had space come online and we do a process similar to this internally, but it doesn't necessarily go to the board. If there was no money involved, if we were just going to move into the building like that, we would just figure if you guys didn't need to give us budget authorization, we'd just be like, hey, yoga's going in there, but we need money to make the building function.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, your light is on. You want to go ahead and
no.
start? Okay, Director Huffer.
Thank you. First of all, I'm really impressed by the process that you've been going through the last 6+ months, meeting with staff, getting ideas, bouncing things off, having the staff actually, the rec staff, the line workers, the people who are actually out there, not that you guys aren't out there, but, the people who are providing all of the programs and services for our community, that you got them over there, walking through it, deciding what might work, what might not work. That's a great process. I think that's very admirable. My concern, and we start talking about budgets and stuff like that, I feel like talking about budgets is sort of putting the cart before the horse. My impression, one of the reasons for this meeting tonight was to talk conceptually about what's going to happen with 401. For several years, we've been talking about the fact that there's going to be potentially a lot of population growth along this area, and that initially we were thinking, well, Conejo Community Center, with the basically rebuilding the Conejo Community Center, that would be the closest center to serve that population. Although, given our limitations on how much space we can get there, I'm not sure that would, it would make a dent, but I don't think it could fully serve if we do indeed get the population growth that the city is projecting here over the next 3 to 5 years. One of the attractions for purchasing the property, and particularly for having 401, was that our location is ideal to serve that population, all the new people who potentially could be moving in, my initial reaction, you know, I certainly understand therapeutic needs a lot more space, and that could certainly work out. Been over to Old Meadows any number of times, and now I know how limited it is over there. So to use a portion of this for therapeutics, I think I think it's a great idea. The rest of the space, and maybe I'm just thinking too traditionally, but if we're thinking of a community center to serve the new population, I'm not sure that this plan really could fully serve the new people moving in over the next 3 to 5 years. My biggest question mark is the portion that's designated as an event center. Be great to have something where we can make some money from it. That's wonderful. But is that really serving the population of our community, and particularly the new population who need recreation and parks and programming? That's not really programming space at all. The multi-purpose room, certainly that can be used for programming. But I'm really concerned about at least a third or more of the building being used basically as a commercial operation, competing with the other venues that you listed up there. Before that you ever went very far with that, and I don't know if you've done any of it yet or not, but all those venues, the smaller ones very close, and then the larger ones, are every one of them at full capacity throughout the year? Or would we be competing with some of those venues and taking business away from some of those commercial operations for an event center? Certainly a question that has to be answered. But my biggest concern, again, before we start talking about budgeting or anything else, is who are we serving, and what should we be serving them with? My vision, and to say maybe it's a little old fashioned, my vision was that it was going to be a large community center, since we are not going to, at least in the foreseeable future, be able to do anything with Conejo Community Center, that this could be Conejo Community Center on steroids and really serve the current population and the growing population. So I'm uncomfortable in the portion that you have there as designated as an event center.
So if it's okay, I'll respond to that. I totally get it. So one of the things that we looked at by doing this is we looked at how many rentals we have for events, parties, all sorts of things in our community centers. By moving those events into this building, whether it be the multi-purpose room that might be a little bit more reasonable or the event center, it would open up the facilities out in the communities, and those rooms would be allowed to be able to do other things that are more program oriented because they're smaller rooms. Most of our programs, have 20 kids, except for camp when we're outside, when we have 60 kids. So by rejiggering what we do out in the field and bringing some of those rental things here and focusing it here would open up space out in the community. So I don't know if it's right or wrong or whatever, but that we did think about that a little bit. The other thing is with Conejo Community Center, because we actually talked to them about moving. It was one of the ideas to move them here because we were going to put the new facility out there. And that new facility out there, if you remember, it was a real big focus on preschool, which our number for preschool kids has been continually going down. And it had a huge room on the bottom of it, which was going to be for large events. And we were going to be able to teach classes and multi-purpose it also. So we're going to have that here with a nice view, and you could do weddings or parties or whatever. But what it also leaves, and why we chose not to continue to go down that path with Conejo is Conejo Center uses that park so much that I didn't know what else I would do with it if Conejo Center was here. So all the classes, all the, events that they do out in the park, staff would be pulled in multiple directions. So that's where we went at that time. We also looked at Thousand Oaks Community Center because Thousand Oaks is very odd. And they actually don't have a lot of usable program space. They do a lot of their homeschool here. So we talked to them about coming here. And then we figured out that if we moved therapeutics here, homeschool and some of the classes that TO does could move to Old Meadows. So Old Meadows would end up being shared, mostly used by Thousand Oaks during the school year, and then combine Thousand Oaks and Old Meadows in the summer to make sure that we can continue the programs, which would open up space here for Hillcrest Center for the Arts to do more of the arts programming. So we did that, and we even thought about moving sports because sports doesn't have a gym. So we thought about moving them to Thousand Oaks and moving the whole Thousand Oaks staff here and having this be Thousand Oaks. And that just didn't work either because Thousand Oaks does how many community events at Thousand Oaks, and they use the grass and the parks and that's what they do with all their programming. Yes, sports already uses inside most of the time for their programming, but sports here didn't make sense because there's no gym. So we kind of played with some of that. I don't know that this is right, but this was like the best of all the ideas that we came up with also the ability to help make some funds back, make some money to offset the costs of new staff, new electricity and stuff like that, because, I want him to be able to do some stuff out and, not take all his money. But, it's about sustainability. So we want to offer a service. We want to meet a need. Where are we growing? We're not growing in preschool. Are our classes all full? No, we have tons of space. We're already we offer, 15 yoga classes in our community. So do we offer just one here and not at the other places? No, we want people to be out and about. So we'll still be able to service all of the people around here between the Conejo Community Center and here with art, with classes, with cooking classes, with yoga classes, Tai Chi classes, therapeutic offerings, everything that we would normally do in a community center, we will be able to do here. We won't have on this property soccer or
What?
other.
No.
I know, I'm sorry, Mr. AYSO.
That's it. I'm
But I will be able to host, Kiwanis meetings and stuff like that and big balls and, so I don't know if it's the best thing, but from everything that we have sat down and tried to configure and do and what will we do, I want people in the buildings. I want people using the space. And this is what I think that we could within 2 years have being used a lot.
Okay, well, I appreciate that additional information and that you've been talking with folks from the other centers and looking at possibilities of moving part or all of one center here or something like that. You're certainly not just locked in on this, and you looked at various alternatives. You mentioned some of the centers where we currently are able to host events, not big events, 200, 300 people, but small to mid-size events, and having more of those here, maybe freeing up space at TO or Borchard or Dos Vientos for more programming. The problem with particularly Borchard and Dos Vientos is they really wouldn't be serving the population that we're talking about here. Perhaps Borchard, Dos Vientos, definitely not, maybe Thousand Oaks. But as I said, my initial reaction is I'm not sure that being in the event business is necessarily where we should be. I'm not saying I'm opposed to it. I certainly can be sold on it. And if you could put, indoor soccer there or something like that, I could
I'm
be-
trying for a roller skating rink still, but it's just not, no one's biting.
Okay, but bottom line, I'm not convinced at this point about an event center.
Yeah. And if you don't mind, I'll say one more thing, just so you guys know, because you probably don't know that we've done this over the past, because we've been looking at our classes, the types of classes we have, where they're offered, who goes to what. James has been able to do some analytics for me to show, like, because we thought, oh, only people in Dos Vientos go to Dos Vientos, and only people on this side of town go to this. It's not correct, you guys. They go everywhere, all over the place. So people on that side of town will go, amazingly, to Dos Vientos. Dos Vientos right now is our center used the most with the highest registration. So it's really kind of, they'll go where they want, where things are offered that they want to participate in. But with that being said, Chuck, I am open to any ideas that you have for that space. So let me know, any of you.
Okay, those were some very good points. Thank you. Director Nichols. No, I'm just going down the line.
All right.
Everybody gets a turn.
Okay. Thanks for the input, Director Huffer. I appreciate that. I just was looking at this and thinking that, nice to have options on what we're going to be doing. I was kind of thinking somewhat the same line as you as well. What will our future neighbors need at this facility that they couldn't get somewhere else? Is it just to have a neighborhood park with a playground somewhere? Is it to have some fields, some courts, some other type of outdoor activity? Not that we could do it immediately, but looking to the future, what's going to be their needs? If we're kind of looking at this as serving those needs. Because I know certainly as a community center, we've got a lot of indoor space, but what is that outdoor use that we could or couldn't use? And we just have a few pockets here and there, but looking at that, and I don't know if that requires a master plan for the whole 60 plus acres. We're not here for that tonight, but maybe that's something else to consider. Appreciate the information you provided regarding the assessment of these types of facilities in other communities. But I'm just wondering, with what we have currently, I use my term often a lot, is there a demonstrated need to have this type of a facility available to the public through the park district of that size?
From the folks that I've talked to, they all see, I need to do more research. I've talked to the chamber, I've talked to Agora and Calabasas, and they say that it's rented all the time. I think where we have the ability is our price compared to hotels and big for-profit businesses. We're not going to be anywhere near that, what that is. So it's going to be just like our rentals in our community centers. We're going to be more affordable for people. So that's what we have to offer to the community, a more affordable place to have a reception, a bar mitzvah, a large family gathering, more options for a medium or higher end type thing compared to a smaller end. I mean, other things that I want to do before we even go fully 100%. Like if this is the way you're like, yeah, let's do some more research, then I'll start talking to the real estate groups. I'll bring the chamber in for a meeting to see what they think that with their travel folks. Yeah, it could be local. It could be, non-local. We have in-district and out-of-district rates. So we would still have that. So I think there is a need, you guys. We have churches that are renting out our gyms. If I don't have churches in my gym or a church, I now have a gym that's available. So there's different things.
Okay, and that's the same regardless if it's the multi-purpose room or the event center, or are you looking at these as really completely different uses at all times?
Yeah, I think that you could rent them separately. We could have, during the day, we would use the pink side as much as we can as far as with programming. Um, you know, uh, there's things that we do outside, like with comedy night, we could do more, we could do it bigger over there. There's things that Hillcrest might do over there. It's not like they can't go over there. There's, Starlight Ball. We don't have to rent anything, the teen center, we could have the teen center open to the teens and we can have the Starlight Ball over here. So there's things that we would move things around, but the multi-purpose room would be something more reasonable for families. It would hold like 150 people, up to 150. And then the other room, you could also, a lot of people, when they have larger events like a wedding, they might rent both rooms. They might have their cocktail hour in one and then their thing over here. Or I might be able to do a reception or a wedding inside and then the reception in the other room. So it gives a lot of opportunity. It is a huge space, so that's where we kind of have to decide. Both of the spaces are really big. Beautiful windows, beautiful views. Like, are we gonna lean into that? Or are we all of a sudden going, no, I need a bunch of classrooms that I can fit 20 kids in? And I don't have every single one of my classes full out there, you guys. They're not. So I don't know that I need more class space. I might need different kind of class space, because if you go to TO, it's very odd spaces, but we use them.
Well, I appreciate that. Again, I still wonder, what the real need is. And I think as Director Huffer said, would it just be taking business away from the other venues that are available in town or in the region? I mean, I recall when we were wedding venue shopping, 8 or 10 years ago for the girls, we canvassed the area and all, within a reasonable region for that, and looked at all the indoor spaces for one daughter, outdoor spaces for the other. So I got a pretty good idea of what's available out here. And, I thought, there's a lot out there. So it's not like everybody's wanting to have something that's not available in our community. There are lots of places, I'd say lots. There are other options out there. It's just whether it fits their needs or they'll go somewhere else. So that's why, ask, is it really a demonstrated need or is it just a lower cost option, which sounds like that might be the case. If I could just target in for a moment on the therapeutic portion of it, the purple, that seems to be something that you're highly recommending. And I know you just kind of went through a couple of the what ifs of shuffling things around, but if they were to move over, whether it's in a general transition or fairly quickly, what happens to Old Meadows?
So Old Meadows, like I said a little bit earlier, we would utilize it still. We would move programming around. So right now here at this facility, we have a lot of homeschool classes that the TO Community Center runs out of this facility. We would be able to move them over to Old Meadows and have that be, and maybe focus on some of our services with homeschools. We are doing that a lot. There are some challenges right now with some laws and things that are coming into place, but if we're able to get through that hurdle, we might be able to do and offer more classes for that. But because TO doesn't have a lot of really great, like solid open, they're going to get that and they're going to start to do it. The other thing is, so that's what would happen with Old Meadows. So it would mostly be during the school year, kind of TOs running it with different things. But therapeutics would also use it for our youth programs because youth usually do indoor and outdoor type activities and summer. So because that's where the playground is and the grass field, programs that therapeutics needs that for, they would still have to use that until something happens on this property that would be an outdoor space that they could potentially use.
Okay. And would there be impacts to our other facilities similar to what you were just saying, that you'd have to do a lot of shuffling, moving things around, of starting to reconfigure or rejiggering, I think you said. Is that what you expect to happen, that there's gonna be a lot of dominoes in place, that if you start moving things around, you'll start figuring things out, and it may take a year or two to figure out the best fit for some of these things? Is that how you anticipate this happening?
I think the jiggering will be pretty focused between therapeutics and TO. We see that because we don't want everybody having to move. But of course, we're always open to, like, if we go, oh, that didn't work, we need to do this instead, then we jigger. But
Okay.
the focus, if this was the plan to move forward, would be melding or molding TOC and therapeutics to somehow co-use Old Meadows and then Old Meadows to move therapeutics unit over here and serve. The other reason why too, therapeutics in this particular location, Chuck, you might remember, when I first started 10 years ago, we had a gentleman by the name of John that was working with us on therapeutics and the needs of the community and stuff. And he was an expert. And one of the things was the possibility of us becoming almost like a regional area to partner with our surrounding organizations, recreation folks, and help with serving the therapeutic population kind of in the county, in Camarillo stuff. And we've had people reaching out to us. This location is extremely central. They also do a lot of transportation. You know, we drive folks places. So, it's a nice, easy access for us to help others and inclusion to be there. So I would see, if we keep going down this path, that the idea would be to move therapeutics. Old Meadows would become a joint use, shared space, use it as much as you can. The other thing is Old Meadows, still people like to rent that for small parties. So baby showers and stuff like that. These will be too big for that. So we still see that being rented for those types of things, and also offering the opportunity for, if we have an event center, we now can open up and have weddings, maybe small little weddings, so 75 people, which we can already do at Old Meadows. Maybe there's other locations where you could have a small wedding in one of our parks and then come here with your 200 guests and have a party and do that.
Okay.
Did I answer the question?
so.
I feel like I'm in an interview.
Yeah. You are, but that's okay. A couple details on this plan that you have here, and I don't know if this is conceptual or what, but I see a lot of little office spaces in the yellow event center. I'm wondering, are there some intended uses right away, or is that just kind of
So-
conceptual?
What you're seeing there is what is currently over there. So except for in the yellow space, there's actually a whole row of offices in the middle upper portion of it. And then in the pink, there's some additional offices, but those are mainly permanent walls in the pink and the yellow. Yeah.
So, Director Nichols, it's conceptual colored in the zones. There's very minimal relaying out walls or anything. So like Rochelle was saying, it's an existing footprint of what's there now, because we just haven't taken that next step. I have some napkin sketches in my office, but we haven't put forth the effort like with an architect to really start, because we wanted to make sure we're working through this conversation with the board
Okay.
first.
Yeah, I didn't know if you expected that you needed a certain number of those spaces for an event center to operate, or if you're just kind of carving it up in the thirds and kind of showing what's there, which you explained.
Yeah, and mostly the event center would be opening up as many walls as possible. Like we know the columns in this room are the structural, so the goal is to open it up for the view and use flexibility of the space. So
Yeah, because that one angled wall is kind of strange.
yeah, yeah, it is a funky layout that
Okay.
they put in there.
Okay, and then with the catering concept, I just was kind of curious if I were, again, since I've had a couple of weddings, I know that process. The catering options, they need to be able to park and set up the little tents and the serving and all the things. Would that be happening in the parking lot? Do they move that down? Or are they going to give them dedicated space, because they take up a fair amount of space?
So
How would that work, especially if you have activities in other locations?
So it will depend on what it is, but the idea would be is that there would be a designated catering space inside the building. So they would have ice and microwaves and storage and stuff like that. So if they're cooking on property and they're doing it, we would have to have a space somewhere for them. So we would that's something I would work with Andrew on, like, is there a space in the parking lot that we do and they can get food down, or how are we doing that? Or maybe on the patio in the back, there's a big barbecue or something that's ours, and that's where we'll have to figure that out.
Okay.
The inside catering kitchen is pretty standard to my knowledge. It's Agoras and Calabasas were like pretty much the same thing. You got, you know, a microwave, you got some cupboards, you got a refrigerator, you got ice.
Okay. All right. And I don't want to get into, you know, the details of planning this out and handing you my own napkin with my sketches
You
on
can
it.
hand me a napkin.
But I appreciate the overall view. I would just say, kind of including my impression is I don't mind this. I do have a vision of what I think I was expecting as far as input from staff to kind of address what those future needs would be of our future residents, as Director Huffer was saying. Maybe that could also be shown conceptually as well for that type of information. And I think if you could provide some firm numbers on the demonstrated need of why you're recommending these types of facilities, because right now I see the support for the therapeutic, and I could kind of support that, but the others seem like niceties and not have to haves. And if you can convince me otherwise, that would be nice. But right now I can say, yeah, therapeutic recreation, that would be great. And, you know, move forward with reconfiguring Old Meadows or the Thousand Oaks Center, whatever it is, to kind of accommodate the needs that we have or those changing needs. And convince me on the other two, especially when it comes to timing and that total amount of money that it costs. I can say, yeah, you can start with part of it, but in the meantime, if we're only kind of giving direction on a third of it, what do we do with the other 2/3? So I'd like to get a little more convincing evidence in that. So thank you, Madam Chair.
And I can definitely do that and try to, but I would really like, and I mean, if you guys are up for it, we'll give you a copy of this and do the same thing I did with my staff. Start putting in your ideas, because this is the best of the ideas that we have. I mean, again, we're already doing a ton of programming, 5,000 different classes. I don't know what the next class is. And if a new class comes, that means probably another class is going to be old and go away. So we're already trying to reinvent things. So I'm totally open to any ideas. And those are, I mean, again, we have big open spaces that we just kind of were like, okay, they're big, they're open. Am I going to build walls and block views? Am I going to, you know, build classrooms and then maybe they're used or not used? Or is there something I can do with the kind of least amount of construction to an extent and serve the community and potentially make some of the money back to help pay for it? Because therapeutics, I'm not going to make any money on that. That's going to be what it's going to be. Hopefully I'll keep doing what I'm doing and kind of not completely cover costs, but do that. But if we add that other stuff, I've got staff we're going to add. And so it's up to the board. How do we pay for that? So,
Again, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I do know that, you know, obviously the windows and the view and everything, it kind of draws your attention to have something like that. But like I said, no one's been calling me up and saying, hey, you know what we really need is an event center that serves 250 people with a view. No one's going to deny that it looks great, but like I said, I haven't been getting a lot of clamoring in that direction. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Nichols. Thank you. Director Orozco.
Thank you, Chair. Rochelle, thank you so much for putting all this wonderful work to you and to Andrew. All of it is really exciting to me. I'll start there. I think that on reflecting over the last year and a half, especially last year when I was doing my tour of all of our facilities and talking to staff and better understanding, particularly the needs of our therapeutics department, them telling me stories about families who are just begging to participate in our programming and we are just at capacity. And so to have an opportunity to have this space to expand on that is exactly, what I think any board member could ask for when it comes to having a very specific need and expanding on that. When it comes to our events, the prospect of an event center and a multipurpose room, I think that personally, those excite me. I think that it's a creative, unique way to possibly generate additional revenue streams for the district, especially because we now have a mortgage to pay. And so to be able to be creative with our new shiny purchase, it was really helpful to hear the ways that your team was being thoughtful about the space that we have and reconfiguring and thinking of all of the possibilities that we could with moving TO or moving Conejo to this space, and what does that look like? And so I think for me, it really paints a clear vision of what the entire exercise has been for you all. I think that one thing that I would be curious to see, because the budgets for each of these proposals is very large. And so, off the top of your head, do you happen to remember what the rentals price for Agora and for Calabasas were for their event spaces?
So the Agora one, give or take, I have all their stuff, so I could share that
Yeah.
with you if you want. And it's also available online for them. But I believe Agora is around $5,000
Mhm.
for the day. I think Calabasas, and I can't remember because they have the same type of thing. They have like in district, out of district, and nonprofit rates too. So
Yeah.
we all would be doing that. I want to say theirs was around 3,500
Okay.
for like in district. So depending on the level of stuff we put in there,
Right.
I would do a budget pro forma and try to figure that out
Right.
and throw in the staff and stuff. But from what the staff at Agora was saying, I mean, they serve the community. A lot of it is in district. They do because they're in border LA.
Right.
A lot of people from LA come up to theirs. I don't think we would get as many here, but from LA necessarily. But I also think that by having this here, and if I was to work with the chamber, it would potentially bring folks here to go to hotels, or
Right.
if I'm living in an apartment complex that was built over here across the street and I have a wedding and I don't have anywhere for my party and or my relatives will stay, but I can do it in my community. So there's some different things. And I also think, you guys, I'm not set on something. If you do it, you don't, we wait, and then if it doesn't work after 4 or 5 years, you don't sit there and keep trying to do something that doesn't work. You change it and you do something else. You reinvent it again. So, yeah.
Okay.
So probably I would think the event center we could probably rent if it's nice, it would be, which it would be nice. Let me clarify that. I know it would be nice. Probably around $4,000. I don't expect it
Okay.
to be as much as Agora, but I think it could potentially be a little more than Calabasas.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see maybe, depending on like how much we invested into refurbishing that space, what the return on investment or like how long it would take us for us to sort of, I don't know, pay ourselves back into that capital fund for what we invest. Um,
I think, and I'm not the math person, but I'd like to believe that I don't know if I'd ever make enough to pay it back. But I think that within 2 years, I feel like I could pay enough to cover costs of
Mhm.
running it and also pay for the utilities of the building potentially, so
Yeah.
that the building doesn't become a hindrance on the budget after that,
Yeah.
that it would be okay. I don't know that I would make $3 million back
Right.
in any, like, not while I'm here. But I think that I could, within 2 to 5 years, get it to where got a pretty consistent thing.
Yeah. Okay. Um, and then quick question. I don't know if I noticed, do we have an elevator on this side? We do.
We do.
Okay. Great.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So I guess it's my turn. What I really appreciated in your presentation is how you started very grassroots and asked your staff, who are the people on the ground, they're the people supervising and teaching the classes. They're the people working with the public. And you went very much into a lot of detail of all of the ideas, putting stars on the ideas, where they think that it needed to be done. So I highly appreciate that because I'm not there doing that. I'm not on the ground in that sense. Now, I liked what you were saying. I had the ability, which is nice, to be able to listen to all of your comments and questions. I liked the fact that you were saying that if you had an event center, that would open up a lot of our other areas, so you could be doing, other things in those areas. So I think that's good. Plus, I highly value your staff's opinion, highly. I'm the only one here who's put on 5 weddings now. So I will say that my oldest daughter went to the Stagecoach Inn. Now, if you go there, you have to bring in all of your tables and chairs. You would be including tables and chairs in that $4,000 price. Okay, tablecloths? Yes or no?
Sorry, Agora and Calabasas had a really good plan on how they do it. I think tables and chairs were tablecloths, and I don't think they might have been, they might have not been. But
Maybe
yeah,
not.
usually it's tables and chairs, and then they provide, the caterers provide everything else and
Okay.
whatnot, and then we'd have probably some audio visual stuff that
Yeah,
we
you
could
would have to do
potentially
the
use.
audio visual.
That might be an up cost, that, so.
So my second daughter, we went to the Los Robles golf course. We could not afford the Westlake Inn or the Hyatt. That was beyond our budget. So we're talking about middle class income with a lot of children. So the fact, and one reason my second daughter really wanted the Los Robles golf course was because of the view, and they were very affordable. My third daughter, she and her husband are artsy. We were out in the park with tiki torches, so that worked, whatever for them. And then my son was a whole different thing because, his main wedding was in Oakland. But we did do something for him here. My youngest daughter went back to the golf course because, again, it was affordable, even though we couldn't have the view because it was in the winter, so it was dark. So I'm just saying that you only mentioned 3 places here locally that you can host a large event. So I do appreciate the fact that you brought up the fact that we don't want to be taking, business away from other places. However, a lot of places for people on a budget aren't going to those places anyway. And, some places that can afford it, they would just prefer to do everything in-house. The plates, the forks, the knives, the tablecloths, the catering, the flowers. You talk to one person and you do it. Not everybody can afford that. So I like the idea that you are looking at how you are serving the community as an affordable place. I remember when we were talking about remodeling the Conejo Community Park. One of the things was that we were going to open up the windows and put out a balcony so people could have events there with a view and some outdoor space so that they could move in and out. I think that could be needed in our community, actually, especially if you're saying that it would open up space in other community centers and we could be using those for programming, and you're saying you don't need programming. I hate to waste that view. I mean, I hate to say that. That is a beautiful view. And I think that just a lot of organizations would want to, rent that spot. And again, I don't want to be taking away I think the only facility we'd be taking away a lot of business from is probably the golf course, maybe Palm Garden. I don't know how many large events the TON does. I can't even think that they have an event center there. They do?
It's a banquet room, so.
They do have, is it a small banquet room?
I believe it's a small banquet room.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never seen their banquet room. I've been to the other ones. Anyway, they never host like chamber meetings or anything there, just the Palm Garden does here. And the Marriott, we have a Marriott. Did you look at them? The Marriott on, over by In-N-Out Burger. They have a large banquet room. They host weddings and large events there also.
I didn't see that one. James and I were looking through them to,
Yeah.
they had to, our requirement when we were Googling was they had to be able to seat 200 or more, because
Okay.
we will be able to seat 200 in that particular room or more.
Okay. Now, that would just
So
be
they might be at
dedicated
100.
for events. Like you would never do like, I don't know, something like square dancing or something like that in that, in
Could.
that room.
We could. I mean, everybody has so Agora and Calabasas had very different takes. So Agora was very high end and they kept it specifically for just rentals. Calabasas was still really nice, but they also used it for programming. So if we have something in the middle, yeah, we could do whatever
So
we
that-
want.
that
It would
could
be a
be-
large open room. So if it wasn't being used for rentals and we're like, we're not using it, we would, and there was something else and we'd try to do it. But the idea would be to keep it nice so that it's
Yeah.
not like a hotel banquet room, low ceiling, white walls.
Yeah, that's what I was
Like-
saying. In fact, I wrote down here ceilings.
Yeah.
You would make nice ceilings because that kind of
And
makes a
Andrew would
huge
have
difference.
a challenge. But yes.
Okay, they wouldn't be this.
It couldn't, if it was this, we're looking at a different plan type of thing, because that's.
You would put
That's
in
the
nicer
hotel.
ceilings than this.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we would, you have a couple feet above these drop ceilings, so we would open up the ceilings, paint, change fixtures, that type of stuff to
Okay.
be able to address it, to make it a nice feature.
Yeah. Because I think that would be what we'd be looking at, is that we are providing something, and maybe an affordable alternative for some people. And also meeting rooms, something with a nice view. And a lot of the things around here don't have that. We just have more banquet rooms. So my concern, because I appreciate what everybody's saying, is we don't want to be putting in something that's not needed. So I think if it was made as a large space, but it could be alternatively used, that could work also. I mean, we do use, the room down the hall is also a rehearsal room, and I think you fill those quite a bit. I think this could be an extension of Hillcrest Center for the Arts. You could probably have some other artistic things going on in that room. We'd have to see if you fill it all the time with rentals, but it seems like it would be versatile enough that you could use it for other things. And also the other pink room, that would be completely versatile. You could put anything in there.
Yep.
You could put events in there, you could put classes in there, you could do anything in there. Large classes, small classes, whatever you wanted.
There's other ideas for programming that we don't currently do now, which would be more, a lot of the younger folks, if 20 somethings, they like to go and have experiences. So what are those experiences? Is there a company in town that would be interested in hosting experiences there on a Friday night or a Thursday night or something like that? And again, to be able to offer that as an outlet that's not necessarily going to a bar type of a thing. So now, and you could still have, if we have our ability to cater, you could still have someone come in and cater it, or have a barbecue, or have mocktails, or, we can be creative in those types of things also.
I like the idea that you're saying something to cater to our 20 to 30-year-olds, because that seems to be a lack in our community. I know that the downtown is saying that they kind of want to be able to, have a little bit more for that age group. So
Have a game night, have a karaoke night, have a 20-something bingo night. Like there's all sorts of things that you could do if you can figure out. And if we get a group of 20 to 30-year-olds that are the advisory committee now for running a monthly event, then now they own it, they'll help market it. So
okay. So anyway, I guess that you have a lot of our feedback of things that we want. I really don't know much about the therapeutic unit. I'm just taking your word for it that that's something that we need. And I think, this is a nice place where We're in the center of town. So, I'm for it. I don't really have a lot of things against it. I'd have to be a little bit more involved with your staff. And I think that you did a very good job on that. I think my biggest concern would be, I would think that we should go low end on some areas and maybe a little higher end on other areas. So that, I don't think we should go high end. I don't think we need to go high end on everything. So as far as our budget goes, I think we could look at, okay, well, where do we really not need to change ceilings and make it beautiful? And where do we want to make it nicer? So.
I think what's nice about what Andrew did was, as you have it broken up, if we are given permission to go in the direction and kind of look into some more things, we might go in this section, we're looking at the $200,000 range, the lower end. We need paint, we need carpet, we need some new light bulbs. That's it. Clean the windows. In this area, we might go towards the $1 million so that we're doing higher end. Let's, what are the things that we have to do to make it this, or in therapeutics, maybe it's more middle of the range, So there's options. It's not all or nothing. It's how do we do it and then go from there.
Yeah. Well, yes, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Does either Pleasant Valley or Rancho Simi have a similar event center like this?
Pleasant Valley, no. Simi Valley, they have their big recreation center, so it's just like one of our recreation rooms. But I believe their big new facility that they're in, I don't know that they currently have like a nice rental room, but I know you can rent it, or I've heard you can rent it. But when we were looking in our surrounding areas, you guys, it didn't come up on my list that James gave me. So to serve 200 plus people in an inside facility, no.
Okay.
And to add to that, just personal knowledge for Pleasant Valley, they do have a large, it's their only community center, their auditorium. So they do have like a stage. They do have it's outdoor windows. It's not just like a banquet room. So it's a little bit nicer, but by no means is it an event center.
So it would probably be similar to the Global Center.
Little bit bigger and a little bit more open. Yeah. So probably 1.5 times the Global Center. So, but you could definitely 200 plus people could, I've been there for conferences and stuff like that. So, but.
And could you show the floor plan again? I'm not sure who's in charge of the screen up there, who's got the magic touch. That's okay. Thank you. I know this is kind of using what's there, but again, looking at the therapeutics area, I was wondering how much of that therapeutics area would be used as opposed to now we need to move walls and do things.
You can answer it. I'll let you answer it.
Basically there's like 3 to 4 main areas of therapeutic. There are in like the top right corner, we would have to be moving some walls over there, but the 3 other main rooms would pretty much be the footprint that it is. So, so the main room that we walked in with the high ceiling, that would kind of remain as is, other than opening up, getting rid of some of the office space. And then the 2 existing classrooms, like the classroom that we exited out of,
yes,
same footprint, the adjacent, it would be similar footprint, just depends on how we would do offices and the restrooms, but it would be pretty similar.
Okay.
So.
And that space in the lower right corner that's a different color, what is that?
That's the mechanical rooms.
Oh,
That's
okay.
where, yeah,
Okay.
IT equipment and
Sure.
HVAC and all that fun stuff.
Okay. All right.
And then just so you know, since Melissa has her handy dandy computer up, Rancho Simi does have a large community room in their community center in the Rancho Santa Susana Community Center. It does seat 250, it looks like. But it is a community center. It's like going to Conejo Community Center, so.
And it warns that you have to book over a year in advance.
Could you look and see if the golf course has anything? Because Simi owns the golf course. Usually golf courses have event rooms. I'm just curious.
I went to the golf course recently in Simi. If it's Yeah, and their like little restaurant is like super small.
Oh,
Like I
okay.
don't think, and their golf pro shop was super small also. So I don't think it does. Yeah. Tristan says no, it doesn't.
Okay.
And then just curious with the flooring options, I know the whole place has got carpet squares, I think, right now. If you're going to move in right away to therapeutics, would you need to change the flooring? I'm just wondering for ADA purposes, do you need a certain type of flooring for that, or is that okay? We're just curious.
Yeah, I mean, if I'd prefer not to move in. I will not move therapeutics there until the walls and
Oh, yeah.
whatever has happened is going to happen.
Yeah.
But if we decided, hey, we're not going to spend money there right now, it's as is, we're going to spend money over here in these other two sections and fix the bathrooms and the kitchen because that's going to be a hefty amount of money. Therapeutics would still use it because right now we're using space at the mall. So we won't have to pay for that and we'll use the space there. And yeah, they've already used that 2 summers ago. They were in there all summer and they loved it. So I'm just not going to move the whole office and everything over there and have that be their main hub until it's the way it's supposed to
Yeah,
be.
no.
And I can't really grow programming either over there if I'm going to not have it be done because then if I grow programming and then we have to move out to remodel, then where do I put the programming?
No, I would agree. You want to get your
So,
work done before you start moving things. You don't want to do it twice.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Director Huffer.
Just a final comment. I want you to know I'm not vehemently opposed to the idea of the event center. Director Nichols made the very good point that we would need a demonstrated need for it. When you first talked about it, you said, well, it can be used on weekends. I'm visualizing all the space sitting there empty 5 or 6 days a week. But
Hopefully.
particularly if it was treated something like Los Robles Greens, where they have and I don't know what their capacity to be in a pretty big room, but they can divide it into a smaller room and a larger room so that groups like Rotary or Kiwanis or, whatever meeting during the week can make use of this space so that, if there's some flexibility where one big room or 2 or 3 small or medium-sized rooms, as long as the demand is there.
Yeah. So we probably wouldn't make it like dividing walls or anything. But to your point, during the week, we would have discounted rates, just like we do with our fields or our regular rooms that we rent out in the community centers now. So Monday through Thursday might be half price of whatever the going rate is, with our real like strong rates being Friday, Saturday, Sunday type of thing. So the Agora and Calabasas both do that. It's very in line with what we already do with our current rentals. So it would just be a different price racket. And then we just let you have the whole thing. If you don't have 200 people, then you don't have 200 people. But yeah.
Director Nichols.
Sorry, you keep saying things that remind me of other things that ask more questions. I'm just thinking if you have an event center, multi-purpose room, where they're using it during a day, whatever, you're going to need to be moving furniture in and out, and you're going to need to accommodate them, which means you need people and staff. So have you also anticipated and have some estimates as to how many more staff and what that cost might be in addition to just the capital expenses?
So based off of how Agora runs it, I would probably run it similar. We'd probably, and I've very, very vaguely I was like, if I rent this at $4,500 2 times a week for 52 weeks in the year, really bad math, I know. But I was like, what would my dollar rate be? And then if I had this many staff and I put in my staff rates, not the benefits or anything else, but and I still came out positive. But I would think we would hire a full-time event coordinator, and their job would be to make sure those spaces are used and full as much as possible with whatever it is, whether it's internal programming, outside programming, or actual event rentals. And then we would probably have three to four part-time people that would be basically the workers that are there that would set up tables and chairs to begin with and be there in case anything happened during the event. But usually like the cleaning, we would have a cleaning company that comes and cleans the kitchen and all that stuff. So it's not our staff that would be doing that. And that would be hopefully all covered by the cost of the actual rental. So the only time we wouldn't be covering that would be if we were doing our own programming in there. So,
Would that include IT support and things like that?
well, hopefully it's a real easy plug and play. And then we would train the part-time staff, like this is if something happens, here's what you do. So, because what Agora had, I think she has one full-time coordinator, and then she has, I think, 5 part-time people that are solely designated just to the event center because they are so busy and they are booked out quite a ways a year or so.
Could you also include that information for us next time around as far as, what staffing you think it takes to run it? I don't know if you've, it sounds like you've done a little bit of math to work this out, but I'd be curious to see how.
I don't want her to have it though. Then mine will be wrong probably.
But I just, again, I know that when you have facilities like that, it does take some staff to make sure it runs and to run well. Otherwise you won't get repeat customers. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So I have one other question that you should be able to answer easily, because here we have 2 large spaces. We have this that would be kind of like the pink room, right? Yeah, this room. And then we have the rehearsal hall. And would that be about the same size as the other room, the event center room?
No.
It'd be a lot bigger. Yeah, it'd
The
probably
event
be
center's bigger.
two times that, the larger rehearsal room. It would be at least 2 times that.
Okay, so it'd be like 2 times so I'm just wondering, how often do we ever rent out these rooms? Are these rooms rented out?
So this room we don't rent out very often. There's a few we've gotten in the last couple of years, a few things that we do. Most of the times it's for the arts. The arts uses it for after show parties or that type of thing.
I guess
The
I shouldn't have
council
said,
does.
sorry, I shouldn't have said rent out. How much are these rooms used?
They're used actually pretty often.
Okay,
In the summer right now, Thousand Oaks Community Center's running camps out of here and the Ranger Room that's over here. During the school year, they run homeschool.
okay.
Thursdays are the only day that we kind of tell them they're not allowed to use this room except for in the summer because of board meetings.
Okay. And the rehearsal room, that's used quite a bit?
Oh yeah, ever since the arts have started doing like yoga and dance classes, they're actually, I think, getting more mirrors or they already got mirrors. Anyhow, they're really docking those up for like the arts types of classes. Those we're trying to keep here and not as much out in the community, maybe little kid dance classes, but like adult dance classes and stuff. So, this room would be more used for the arts. So all of Hillcrest Center for the Arts would be like this building.
Okay.
And then there's other things that'll move, and then they will not own that solely, but they would be able to, the community room would be anybody in any of our groups. If they needed a space, they could use it.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Always a possibility.
All right, because I think we're going to be moving on to, oh, please.
Can I just so for staff follow-up and clarity, this is a discussion item and we aren't looking for a motion or a vote, but what I'm hearing and what I want to make sure our staff go away and kind of focus on and then come back with is you're pretty comfortable with the idea of TR. The event center space, you're skeptical, but you're open to more information and ideas with some more analysis and pencil sharpener, maybe like a needs analysis of some kind. All of it requiring, of course, more cost info, but we're pretty close on that in terms of the ranges. And then the multi-purpose, you're more comfortable with, but sharpen our pencil on the examples of what might be used in there, kind of almost like a hypothetical annual use thing. It would just, based on what we know of our other centers and spaces kind of thing, bring something back. Any staff, do you guys, is that in the realm of reason, anything I'm not thinking of or? Okay. And again, we're kicking this out. It's on the thousands of viewers are watching. We're hoping people will weigh in and tell us what they think as well. But largely, we know our business of providing rec programming inside buildings. Like that's $8 million a year income. That's what we do. So they're trying to think how this fits into the whole system that we have. So that's why, you know, a lot of dominoes move as we move things. And so that's why rec has to kind of think through stuff, but really appreciate the discussion. You know, it'll be useful for more conversation. And then again, ideas that are out there, like happy to hear them.
Could you just make sure that Director Buss has all this information? I don't know. I don't remember. Do we fully record our meeting?
Yeah, she's going to have to watch this whole thing.
Good. That'll teach her to go on vacation.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, I just thought that it's interesting that our next thing is to ask for more money so we can landscape this area, correct?
Not more money.
Not more money? It sounded like it was a little more. We'd already, anyway, let's just go ahead with it. We're going to move on to make a recommendation for an amendment to the contract for the drought response and irrigation improvement services for various park facilities. I thought it was mainly this park facility, but I'm going to let you explain it.
Thank you, Chair Gusworth. So back in 2023, the board approved a contract for drought response and irrigation improvements. That contract is a 5-year contract with 2 1-year extensions. This is something that we've done right when I started. We did an RFP process, and we've continued that process, and it served the district and staff very well by utilizing an outside contractor. The contractor is FS Contractors, and they've done lots of work with us over the past 10 years. There's no budget change to this. This was already approved as part of the budget, and it was included in that 1.6 million. So basically, I'm moving up. The board already approved the $450,000 contract from last year, and I'm just pushing it up to $575,000. And it was strictly based on the additional funds available to be able to re-landscape, purge, clean up the irrigation system, all that at the Hillcrest and Fireworks Hill parcel. So, and this is pretty routine. This is the third amendment with this contract. But as we work through the drought back from 2015 all the way through 2017, 2018, we've used this as a mechanism to really help support staff, but be able to make an impact on our water costs and make an impact on changing over our park facilities for the drought. So with that, I'm available for any questions.
Do we have any questions for Director Mooney? Yes, Director
Just
Huffer.
very quick, the 125,000 additional was included in the discussions about what we need. One of many things for the Hillcrest Center.
Correct.
So we've
Yeah.
already gone through all this.
Correct. And it was actually 250,000 that we've kind of laid out with it. But the increase, because we've already had additional funds from drought response from past years and grants and things like that. So.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, do we have a motion on this recommendation?
I'll move approval of staff recommendation.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this motion passes. So for item 10, do we have anyone that would like to say anything for 10A through E? No one has anything to say? Well, I want to say that I was very happy when I looked over our goals and objectives for this second quarter update and seeing that we're making a lot of progress, really. I mean, there was a lot of things there that we could check off that we said we did. So I very appreciated that that was put in. And I thought, wow, we're doing good. Okay, then we'll move.
If I could just.
Oh, yes,
Goals
please.
and objectives, I know this isn't the planning meeting, but just tuck in the back of your head that next time we do planning, that we need to consider Old Meadows. We talked about it a little bit here, but we need to think of alternatives for all Old Meadows.
Thank you very much. So let's move on to our department reports. Parks Division, Mr. Mooney.
Thank you, Chair Cusworth. Ground staff has been busy doing our annual refurbishments out of the fields. Construction's been happening at a handful of different parks, drainage improvements, walkway improvements. Skate park, as I mentioned last month, is moving along pretty well. The light poles, we have 4 light poles going up today, actually at the skate park. So we're making progress there, which is great. So in the next couple of weeks, they're doing some fine grading and then some rebar and forming. Additional work will be happening there in the next couple of weeks. So we're getting pretty excited because it's really starting to look like a skate park, not just a dirt pit with a lot of tractors and laborers doing a lot of work for us. So we're pretty excited. But yeah, a lot of good stuff from grounds maintenance, rangers, as well as parks and planning staff, and getting some work going. So with that, I'm available for any questions.
Do we have any questions? Director Nichols.
Yes, regarding the Conejo Community Center phase and the back lot, I noticed we really don't have a sign to the park off of Gainsborough. Is that, I don't remember that being included in the improvements. Is that a possibility?
That is not included in the improvements there. We can look into that. I know we have the Botanic Garden sign off of Gainsborough. We can kind of take a look at how that makes sense and works with that signage. Maybe not like a monument sign, but like a secondary entry sign that we've done, like the wood posts with the recycled slat that we do. But
you could also replace the Juno sign with a Conejo Community Park sign.
Or yeah,
Which sign?
the Janine Drive, you're saying?
Janine Drive.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a name on a street that really is not a street. It's just a driveway.
Was there a reason that sign was put there? Is that named after somebody? Is that gonna?
We believe it's probably like the developer of one of the neighborhoods. They just named it for some reason.
Oh,
we
okay.
did a history check on it in our files and we have no record of that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, but we can look into that.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Director Huffer.
Yes, that's not a question, but you mentioned refurbishment, and whoever on your staff came up with the idea of finally replacing the yellow caution tape on the fencing on the east side of the park, putting actual gates in there. I mean, it's not going to totally stop people from getting onto the fields while they're being refurbished, but it's at least going to discourage them. So thank whoever came up with that idea.
Will do.
Okay, moving on. Director Callis, you have more to say? You've
do.
had a lot to say today.
I do have more. Just because I'm so proud of my team and everything they do out in the field. So in your packet, this is your quarter or your after every session, your feedback. We had again 8% response. We get great responses. People like to tell us that we're doing well because we have a fantastic score. So just take a few minutes and read that when you guys can. Some really nice comments. And then our aquatics department got a certificate of appreciation from the American Red Cross as the proud top training provider for 2025. So, and that is because Dee and Xavier and their team do a great job teaching CPR, first aid, AED, lifeguard training, water safety training, not only to our staff, but to surrounding staff in all of our sister neighborhoods. So we're really blessed that we have that in our district. So they're very well appreciated amongst the aquatics world. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Any questions? Director Nichols.
No question, just a comment. I just wanted to thank your staff in particular for a wonderful Independence Day celebration. It was phenomenal. Enjoyed everything that I heard from others and what I participated in. And I know talking to you at the concert, you were very proud of your staff for what they had done. A little exhausted, but nonetheless, and I know Tim Dewar was a very active part of that. And I thought the concert was fantastic. It was great to have a live orchestra up there, which we haven't had for a long, long time. And I got a lot of positive comments about that. Hopefully we can continue that in the future, but please extend my thanks at least to Tim and his team and your team for making that reality. I know we gave you a little extra money, but you kind of made the most of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you for giving us the extra dollars to make it a little extra and remind the community that that was for the 250th anniversary and it may be back to normal next year.
Yeah, I was going to say, I had several people who asked me, said, oh, is this going to be an annual event now? Probably not.
Since you mentioned Xavier, I did want to say he's one of our 40 under 40 that's getting that award this year. So that's kind of exciting also. Okay, management services.
I have no report, but I'm available for questions.
Do you have any questions? All right. Oh,
When it's my turn.
oh, when it's your turn. Okay. Oh, and the cards too. I was wondering about those. I'm ready for your general manager's report.
All right. Chair Cusworth, members of the board members will notice they have a nice little keepsake from the acquisition of the property. So they used, it's the resolution that you adopted. I don't even remember the date, June 4th, when we officially, entered into the loan and said we'd accept the deed to the property. So that little fun keepsake there is for you guys. And then this will be for the general community, but we're always thinking of different giveaways for different things. So we have now a deck of cards with Hillcrest Center Fireworks Hill on it, which is kind of fun. So again, congratulations on that. And just a few updates. Capri safety visit is Monday, July 20th. So Kirk will be down here meeting with actually all of us in the room, not the board, all the staff. And then Andrew takes him out to already like 7 different locations because they do a safety and risk management kind of assessment of our facility. So that happens once every 18 months, and that's Monday. Just Andrew didn't mention it, but the Crowley House is doing well. And did you mention it? Oh, yeah. Crowley House is doing well and being, improved so that it can be repurposed. One of the benefits of therapeutics potentially being up here and saving space, as you remember, they also use space inside the Crowley House. But the library is interested in talking to us about potentially the city taking the Crowley House as this is like very, 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 very preliminary. Like I can't say what they do, but we offered the Crowley House as something for them to have a conversation with us about in terms of like a satellite library, very small, kind of like very young children oriented, but in a part of the neighborhood that doesn't have that. And that might relieve us of the burden of taking care of a 120-year-old building if the city's willing to like take care of it as part of the deal. And then the programming and the therapeutics that we were doing there can come here. So it's kind of part of the dominoes. We didn't actually mention that one. May have just said more than I should have. My staff's like, stop talking. All right. And then it is the CRPD board candidate period. The nomination period is open until I think the 7th. And I noticed that a couple directors have already put their papers in. So thank you for that. But we do have the nomination period open. And finally, I took my vacation this summer, went to Kern River and rafted, went to Cabo, and now I have this horrible ear infection and I can't hear hardly anything, and it sounds like I'm in a tin can. But it was great. Happy summer.
Okay. So now we're going to move on to our director's report. Oh, yes. Do you want to talk to him? Anybody have a question?
Interesting about the library wanting to use Crawley House. That'd be very retro, go back like 45 or 50 years when the library was operated out of a little building just across from the Jan's Mall. So what goes around comes around. And I guess I have to ask you publicly, have you signed up for Adult League Soccer this year?
against everybody I know's wishes, I did sign up. So I will be injured by week 2, but what the heck?
Well, thank you, Director Hopper, because this made me think of a question. If the city is going to use the Crowley House, we would still own the building.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
super preliminary. Like this is literally super preliminary discussion. So like ownership and responsibility and all that is something we haven't even
Way down
talked
the
about.
road.
But
Okay.
they said they would entertain a conversation about like, oh, what would it look like to create like a very cozy little reading nook in the middle of town. So.
Okay.
And because they are moving a library satellite to the downtown master plan, I think they look at it as a way to get like a little foothold started in that part of town, get people used to library services in that area so that when it does open with the downtown master plan, they already have an audience.
Director's reports. Director Orozco, let's start with you.
Okay, sounds good. I couldn't remember. Did we have a meeting between Touch a Truck and now? I don't think so. No. Okay, so I went to Touch a Truck. It was so much fun. I like the enthusiasm from the kids is always so wonderful. Uh, and I was just I found it so funny, and it just like made me giggle that they were so excited to go see the UPS truck out of all of the things. Everyone wanted to go see the UPS truck. I don't know if it was because like that's the truck that they see in their neighborhoods and they're like, that's what I want to go. Like, I don't know. It was quite amusing. I went to for the 4th of July, I went to the pancake breakfast over at Borchard. That was fun. Loved seeing I forget the organization, the youths that were jamming out at the pancake breakfast. It was the Westlake.
Yeah, it's a Westlake Youth Academy, Music Academy.
So fun. Loved that. And then went to the concert in the park, which was again fantastic. And I actually participated in joining staff and other folks here up on the hill for fireworks on the hill, where Jim rode around providing ice cream to everybody, and it was super fun. And I thought it was great to see staff members participating in this little added benefit. I mean, they do such amazing work all throughout the year, and to see them all just enjoy the fireworks and tailgate together. It was great. And then I saw Chuck or Director Huffer at the Safe Passage food distribution on July 11th. And that's about it for me. I did have one question. So I was chatting with somebody at the pancake breakfast, and they wanted to know if we could start a 5K as part of our 4th of July. I know you're like, no, I don't.
That
Has
would be
That
no.
would be no. Okay.
But
Okay.
Play Conejo is thinking about doing some kind of a fundraiser and looking into the possibility of some kind of family
Yeah.
run, walk type thing in possibly one of our parks to help raise awareness of Play Conejo and raise
Great.
some additional funds for
Yeah.
our parks and for financial assistance. So
Okay. Yeah. They were just wondering because they were like, it would be, something to add to round out the day. I don't know who wants to start their day with a 5K. I'm not one of them, but
Before or after breakfast?
they were like, let's do before breakfast, and then we end at pancake breakfast, and it's like, okay, it's an idea. Thank you.
Okay, Director Nichols.
Yeah, thank you. I attended the Touch a Truck on 20th. And the highlight was the helicopter, but they did enjoy attempting to catch water balloons from the man lift. That was a lot of fun. And let's see, then on the 25th, I had a California Association of Rec and Park Districts Legislative Committee meeting. And then on Independence Day, attended the concert. And then in the evening, we can sometimes see the fireworks from our front yard. We chose not to go to the top of the hill. The young grandchildren don't care too much to be that close to booms and bangs. So we chose not to do that. But what I did do is I walked over, I thought, oh, I'll go over to the equestrian park. It's nice and broad, no trees in the way. There were still some trees in the way, so all I did was just go up to Waverly Park, got a great view. There's like 150 people out there, families just enjoying the view from Waverly Park. So anyhow, enjoyed the fireworks from afar, and they were much more tolerable to the ears, Jim, just in case you need to know that. So that was it. Thank you.
Okay, well, I guess I'll start with the 4th. It was great. The day before.
Hello?
Hello, did you not have a turn?
No, you started down there and you're working way across.
Oh, I started down there because I felt I was always starting with you. So,
I believe you started it actually.
no, I did. Thank you. It's your turn, not my turn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Uh, I figured not having any meetings for such a long time, I have a long list of events, but just a few. I did do the Touch a Truck. I was over there with the Kiwanis folks, having a lot of fun playing with the kids and the games. I saw the helicopter coming in, and I had to rush over and get a video for my grandkids because I'd promised them if the helicopter came in, I would get a video for them. So I did manage to get that. But it was fun. It's always so fun to see all these kids running around, and seems like the most popular is the dump truck with the beach balls and kids loving to throw it in and coming out and throwing them in. So remember some years ago, Jim had jokingly talked about expanding our boundaries down to Malibu, and just in the off chance that we might do that, I did spend 10 days exploring the beaches in Hawaii to see what works and what doesn't work on beaches. So it was purely an educational trip. So 4th of July, what a great bunch of events. The pancake breakfast, you mentioned in your report that the biggest number ever, and I guess I came at the wrong time because the parking lot was totally packed. I ended up parking over near the service center over there. So the pancake breakfast, I went around some of the activities going over at Conejo Community Park with the baseball and it was fun to watch the little kids trying to figure out how to do a sack race. I've probably never seen anything like that before. I did miss my opportunity. I felt really bad, but I left the park 5 minutes after I left the park. I got a call from thank you. Can't read you. Well, I'm so shook by being passed over by the chair. 5 minutes after I left the park, Rochelle called and said, would you like to pass out ice cream to the kids? Shoot. So I missed that. The concert was great. Was really fun to have really nice to have a live orchestra. I guess my only slight disappointment was that there wasn't as much patriotic music as I kind of hoped that it'd have. I mean, they had some, but a lot of, and I like classical music as much as the next person, but would have been a little more classical would have been fine. But concert was great. And then the fireworks on the hill. I was right up on the hill there, watching Jim pedal around, trying to give away ice cream to everybody. All the events you had for the little kids, the bouncy houses and everything else was really great. As I said, I did tell people that's a one and done. The one thing I would ask that you repeat year after year for people on the hill is a DJ with a nice sound system, because the past years you could barely hear the simulcast, and this year the simulcast was spectacular. So I would keep that if at all possible. So other than that, watching a lot of soccer on TV. Going to end on Sunday. I don't know what I'm going to do after it's over on Sunday, but oh well. So that's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, now it's my turn. So, yes, the 4th of July, that was fantastic. And I have to say, it was very fun for me because I was able to conduct the orchestra. So that was kind of, one of those highlights. And I was able to meet with Michael Christie ahead of time. We met for coffee on the 3rd and talked a lot to him about the symphony, which I enjoy. I don't know that we'll be able to afford them again, but they did say they were very much open to suggestions. I did enjoy having patriotic music, though, on the 4th of July, and I would suggest we try to continue with having some patriotic music on the 4th of July. I think that was a highlight. I was at the Stagecoach Inn in the afternoon. They had a lot of people there. So I think that there was just something for everybody all over the community, provided by CRPD. I did want to, oh, and I also love the music, of course. You know, the music was fantastic for the symphony. I did have someone who told me she brought this up, and so I do want to bring it up. And she said she wanted it on the record that she had talked about this. She's very concerned about the environmental impact of fireworks. So I guess that, you know, I think Washington DC had 850,000 fireworks that were shot out. So there were some issues with that. I did a lot of research on fireworks, talked to some people on fireworks, and she and I got together and came to the conclusion that a drone show would not be appropriate for Thousand Oaks, and that not having a fireworks show would not be appropriate for Thousand Oaks. We can't do a drone show because you're saying I was on top of my roof. You are in a park. People have their places all over the city that we can see these fireworks. I mean, I don't think there's anything else that we do that affects as many people as the fireworks show. I did say to her, though, that next year we wouldn't have as many fireworks. So, because this was an extra large, which I do want to say, I didn't realize my son-in-law was a connoisseur of fireworks. I mean, he kept saying, I've never seen that one before. This is amazing. He was, and I'm like, you've never seen that one? It looks like a red firework, you know, but he was really impressed. I mean, it was a very nice show. It was a very nice show. Um, uh, and I did mention that it wouldn't hurt if we did look into some eco-friendly fireworks. Right now, they're more expensive, but they may come down in price as people are worried about, you know, eco, ecology sorts of things. So we might look at more eco-friendly fireworks in the future. I went to the city council meeting. Tim gave a great presentation for Reckham Park Month. So that was fun. I was at a Botanic Board meeting. I went to the Callegas. You probably got all invited. Callegas had a whole thing of opening up water and some historic things that they were doing. So I decided to go up there mainly because, they're part of Ventura County Special District. So I wanted to support their event. And I do want to say that I didn't look at any parks in Hawaii or beaches, but my daughter came down for 11 days from Spokane with her 3-year-old after our family reunion. And she told me, I would like you to thank the board because I had a lot of free entertainment of all of the parks that we visited. She goes, I've never been to better. Now, she grew up here. She's been to these parks, but it was a lot of fun for her to come back with her 3-year-old and see her 3-year-old interacting with the parks, all the different variety of parks, met her friends at the parks who now have children, went up and was seeing sunsets with friends. I mean, there's just a lot to do. We went doing a lot of hiking. The 3-year-old even played disc golf with us. So, she said this was a great week, and a lot of it was because of Conejo Valley Park. So I wanted to put that out there. Okay. Do we have a request for status reports and items for subsequent agendas? No? All right. Any other items from the public? No? We do not have an executive closed session. Well, I would like to adjourn this meeting in honor of Dennis Gillette. And this is something that was written about Dennis when he was inducted to the CRPD's Gratitude Circle in 2015. And this is what was in the program. And he just recently passed away. So that's why we are adjourning in his honor. Dennis Gillette has dedicated his life to public service with roles in the U.S. Marine Corps, Ventura County Sheriff's Department, California Lutheran University, and as a mayor and council member for the city of Thousand Oaks. He also served as Conejo Recreation and Park District Director from 1988 to 1998, helping to establish the Senior, Teen, and Hillcrest Centers, create El Parque de la Paz, and secure funding for local projects. A strong advocate for collaboration, Dennis played a key role in building the community pool at CLU, guiding CRPD through financial challenges in the 1990s, and facilitating the transfer of McRae Ranch. He credits teamwork among the board, staff, and community partners for these achievements. The Conejo Recreation and Park District proudly honors his lasting contributions. And with that in mind, I'd like to adjourn this meeting.